with either Archie or Lily, and it needs to happen. They need to prove that those children, Meghan and Harry, are not entitled to privacy in this matter. And their privacy is trumped by our right to know that no bastard is going to sit on the throne of this country. All Harry and Meghan need to do is prove to us that she popped those babies out. And that's all they need to do. And if they don't, it is unfair on the children. It's also unfair on the royal family.
As we've seen Meghan Markle put out more and more content connected to her children, whether that's the pregnancy video that made the entire world cringe from secondhand embarrassment.
I looked up, her mouth set in a particular way. Things were getting serious. I said to Meg, my love, you need a push.
Did Meghan Markle use a surrogate? That's been something posited literally for well over 3 years when it comes to her firstborn son Archie and even her daughter Lilibet. And many people even wonder, are their children even real?
Did Buckingham Palace or Prince William set a trap for Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, and were they gullible enough to fall into it?
This is absolutely insane that they thought they could get away with it, especially Meghan Markle and Harry. The con of the century, 2 cons of the century in the form of 2 royal children included in the line of succession.
Whole description she does of the Portland hospital, the birth, that was completely fabricated. We all know the first interview was that she never intended to go to the Portland hospital. She intended to have the baby at home.
That Meghan put on her Instagram feed earlier this week with Archie in the garden. What did you see?
But I had to take my children to Professor Ballstrop, who was the leading expert in the field at that time, at the Chelsea and Westminster Hospital it was, and he was going to be investigating. And of course, you know my boys, so you know they're very spirited. That she has that child in a vice-like grip. And it's, you know, if they were a husband and wife team, there are laws now about coercive control.
Something strange is going down behind the locked gates of Buckingham Palace. Not gossip, not tabloid fluff, not online noise. This is colder, quieter, and way more serious than that. According to insiders, senior palace advisors have quietly launched what they're calling an internal verification review tied to Archie and Lilibet. And make no mistake, for the monarchy, this kind of move is almost unthinkable. The crown despises uncertainty. It can survive scandals, it can strip titles, it can erase duties, but confusion around lineage, that's the one thing that makes the entire institution freeze up. Bloodline questions hit at the core of royal power because there's one rule the monarchy has lived by for centuries. The line of succession must be rock solid, no debate, no blur. So why now? Why even touch a subject the palace usually pretends doesn't exist?
Everything she's done has only drawn more speculation and brought the controversies back up about how Meghan and Harry have handled all of this, as well as the rumors that perhaps they used a surrogate for one or both of the children.
Sources say a buildup of inconsistencies finally crossed a line they couldn't ignore anymore. Not loud mistakes, not headline chaos, subtle cracks, missing details, irregular paperwork, procedures that didn't match royal standards, tiny things that look harmless on their own, but stacked together. They start screaming pattern. And once that pattern landed on the desks of senior officials, the palace didn't argue, they dug. Their first stop? The earliest official document tied to the Sussex children, Archie's birth certificate. For regular families, a birth certificate is basic paperwork. For royals, it's constitutional history. It's the first legal proof tied to identity and succession placement. Every detail is supposed to be fixed, clean, and permanent. But Archie's birth certificate didn't stay that way. Months after his birth, something quietly changed. Meghan's full legal name, Rachel Meghan Markle, was removed. In its place, only the title, Her Royal Highness the Duchess of Sussex. No first name, No surname, just Crown-approved styling. That kind of edit isn't normal. It's nearly unheard of. Someone had to request it, someone had to approve it, someone had to log it, and there had to be a justification strong enough to alter a future royal's foundational record. But when officials traced that moment back, the explanations didn't line up.
Where are the children? Where are Harry and Meghan's kids? And do they honestly exist? Now, I know that that's kind of like a little bit conspiratorial, but you know what? I'm down the rabbit hole now since I've accepted the moon bump story. And if the moon bump story was true and she didn't actually have these pregnancies, then is it possible that she has faked having the kids?
Meghan reportedly said the palace requested the change, and that's exactly where the tension starts boiling. Palace insiders pushed back hard, and here's where it gets messy. Officials insisted the request didn't come from inside the institution at all. They say Meghan's side pushed for the change. No shared explanation, no single version of events, and worse, no clean paper trail spelling out why that edit was ever necessary in the first place. And inside the palace, uncertainty is way more dangerous than bad headlines. Scandal can be managed, confusion cannot. If a foundational document was altered once, the question becomes brutal and unavoidable. Why was it altered at all? And what else from Archie's earliest timeline didn't line up the way it should? Those unanswered questions pulled the review deeper, straight back to the day Archie was born.
California Birth Index, and per the website at thecaliforniabirthindex.org, the California Birth Index, or CABI, is a database that stores records of births in California for tracks of birth certificates. Putting her full official name of Rachel Meghan Markle, you can see that the official records show.
Once palace staff reopened the file, they started retracing everything tied to the birth itself. That's when the second wave of irregularities popped up. Not explosive mistakes, not criminal drama, just small details that didn't fit the royal playbook.
Even though Meghan had let it be known she wanted a home birth, it was probably very realistic that her first child at 37, it was going to be born in hospital.
So at the time, Archie Mountbatten Windsor was born May 6, 2019.
And the monarchy runs on precision, not vibes. First came the announcement process. For decades, royal births followed the same rigid order. Verified birth, official medical confirmation, palace bulletin, then a controlled public appearance. No freelancing. But with Archie, the sequence felt flipped. The public learned he was born before any traditional confirmation appeared. Hours went by before details were clarified. And even then, the information stayed foggy. No hospital steps moment, no verified witness confirmations, just a brief appearance days later that felt staged, not ceremonial. Then came the location confusion.
To Lily, because this is what's called plausible deniability. They want to be able to say, hey, we never claimed that she was our daughter in that announcement. They're legally covering their backs. There's just too many unknowns. And then, of course, we have that the doctor that allegedly delivered Lily quit her practice 2 weeks after giving birth to Lily or delivering Lily. That sentence there is missing. That is a vital sentence that Meghan Markle chose not to put in an official statement because she knows she would get into a lot of legal trouble and she needed plausible deniability.
Early reports pointed to one hospital. Later statements hinted at another. Behind closed doors, staff reportedly struggled to align the timeline with standard royal procedure. Normally, royal births include approved midwives, physicians, and senior officials who formally witness and log each step. Everything is documented because it has to be. But when investigators reviewed Archie's timeline, they found gaps. Not enough to accuse, but enough to question whether protocol was followed to royal standards. And if Archie raised eyebrows, Lilibet pushed the palace into totally unfamiliar territory.
They decide, okay, well, we have to come out and show the baby in some way, but we're not coming out to the street. The filthy masses are not going to have anything to do with our kid. So then they show up and there's Meghan in her white dress with Harry, and he's holding this completely still baby.
Her birth wasn't just unusual, It was unprecedented. The announcement came entirely from Harry and Meghan's team in California. No British doctors, no royal medical staff, no palace bulletin, no easel outside Buckingham Palace, no confirming statement from the royal household at all. Just a polished press release and a few carefully curated photos. For a regular celebrity family, that's normal. For a child tied to royal bloodlines, it's a full break from centuries of protocol. Royal births are traditionally verified by Crown-approved medical professionals. Records are filed immediately. Witnesses are logged. Locations are confirmed.
And then the next holiday card we see, I believe it was the famous Lilibet's born and here's little Archie. And that little kid who's Archie doesn't look anything like the little kid we've seen in the Harry and Meghan documentary on Netflix that we saw. I don't know who that kid was in the picture, or even Lilibet doesn't look like the picture that they've shown of her. Those kids didn't look the same.
But with Lilibet, none of those familiar pillars were publicly visible. And as investigators rebuilt the timeline piece by piece, the contradictions didn't disappear, they multiplied. Even Meghan's pregnancy appearances only deepened the confusion. Zoom calls, carefully framed moments, paparazzi shots snapped from a distance. None of it lined up into one clear picture. In some images, she appeared much further along. In others, not at all. On their own, those details mean nothing. But stacked on top of missing royal documentation, they added weight to the palace's growing concern, and Buckingham Palace stayed silent. No confirmation, no denial, no pushback, just watching quietly.
Sussex, no longer HRH, was safely delivered of a son, and she and her child are both doing well. So back to the tradition of putting out a framed bulletin or a gilded easel outside Buckingham Palace after royal births has been going on since 1837, so it's a cool tradition. And George, Charlotte, and Louis' easels listed the doctors' names with signatures, birth weight and time, and referenced the royal family. But Archie's notably only included mention of the Queen and the royal family in the wording, but not on the actual document, and then they omitted the signatures from the doctor's presence, unlike previous notices.
That silence made everything feel even stranger. But the biggest red flag wasn't the birth itself. It was what came after, the moment that should have permanently tied Lilibet to the monarchy, her christening. Before advisors could even examine that issue, they had to step back and revisit something far more serious. The laws that decide who is officially recognized as a royal child. That's where the 1917 letters patent entered the conversation. On the surface, it's a dry, historic document. Written under King George V, it outlines which descendants of the monarch qualify for royal titles and recognition. But buried in that old legal language is the principle that really matters. Royal status is not symbolic. It must be provable.
People wouldn't, for the rest of maybe Archie and Lily's life, they may deal with questions about this surrogacy. And the only people they have to blame are their own parents who have fueled these rumors.
To be recognized under the crown, a child must meet clear criteria. First, a lineage the monarchy can fully document. Second, a birth conducted under established royal procedures. Third, confirmations and ceremonies carried out under the authority of the Church of England. These aren't cute traditions. They're constitutional safeguards, rules designed to prevent disputes, confusion, or future claims against the throne.
That it just really kind of boggles the mind. I mean, just for titles, for example. So when Archie was first born, they said they didn't want him to have a title. He was going to be a private citizen. I was like, bravo, you understand. He's not going to be a working member of the royal family. He is going to have to live a normal life, get a normal job. That is fantastic. And then it came out later in the Oprah Winfrey interview. Well, they denied him a title and security because he is a mixed race child. And then it was kind of like, and then later she kind of backtracked and
Normally, this process is simple. Royal births happen in the UK, supervised, witnessed, logged, filed immediately. But with Archie and Lilibet, too much unfolded outside that system. A foreign birth, no Crown-approved medical witnesses, unverified timelines, contradictory records, And that leads straight to the ceremony that should have cleared everything up, but instead raised the biggest question of all. The christening that wasn't recorded. To the public, a christening sounds sweet. Candles, godparents, blessings, photos.
Just made the whole thing seem more bizarre. Meghan later claimed in interviews across Netflix and Oprah that Archie was denied a prince title due to institutional decisions, possibly rooted in race. Buckingham Palace's position was that Archie wasn't entitled to a title under current royal protocols, which reserve prince status for grandchildren of the monarch, not great-grandchildren, except for heirs in the direct line.
Inside the monarchy, it's something else entirely. It's a constitutional act. It formally links a royal child to the Church of England, the institution tied directly to the crown itself. It creates the first official spiritual and historical record of that child's identity. That's why Meghan's announcement about Lilibet's christening in California immediately set off alarms inside royal circles. If the ceremony had been conducted under Church of England authority, there would be a traceable record, a registry entry, a signed confirmation, a bishop's acknowledgement. Even private ceremonies leave paperwork. But when advisors quietly checked the church's records, nothing. No entry under Lilibet's name, no signature, no confirmation from the Archbishop's office, not even a private acknowledgement.
Or talking about her experiences on podcasts or things like that, or just posting a lot more pictures. It has drawn a lot of attention to the controversies surrounding her kids, her pregnancies, how the children came into the world, the whole thing. Everything she's done has only drawn more speculation and brought the controversies back up.
For any child potentially connected to the royal succession, that kind of absence isn't normal. It's unheard of. This is where it crosses into a constitutional problem. Royal christenings aren't casual moments. They're supposed to be witnessed, certified, and officially logged. Their entire purpose is to erase doubt and formally anchor a child within both church and state. But when the palace searched for confirmation that Lilibet had been formally welcomed into the faith that defines the monarchy, they found nothing. No record means the connection isn't just unclear, it's incomplete. And that missing link forced Buckingham Palace into its next move. Once the christening issue landed on the table, the palace shifted gears fast. No public probe, no press drama, no scandal headlines, just a quiet, methodical internal case file. The kind the monarchy opens only when something seriously doesn't match royal precedent.
What Meghan and Harry did instead was they did not announce it when Meghan went into labor. For whatever reason. They kept Archie's birth private for over 8 hours. They did not tell people that he was actually born and arrived until 8 hours later. They also issued a confusing press release suggesting Meghan had just gone into labor after Archie had already been born. So they were playing games here with this. And the result was that the media and the public felt misled because they were misled.
Senior advisors were brought in, archivists, constitutional lawyers, clerical liaisons, people who don't speculate, they verify. Their mission wasn't to accuse, it wasn't emotional, it wasn't personal, it was clinical. Rebuild every step of Archie and Lilibet's arrivals and compare them line by line to royal standards. They mapped everything: births, announcements, medical statements, ceremonies, documents, every public and private detail available to the crown. And as the timeline filled in, the cracks became impossible to ignore. Missing witnesses, missing hospital confirmations, confusion over medical personnel, delayed paperwork, conflicting accounts from Meghan, Harry, and their teams, ceremonies with no verifiable records, births outside royal supervision, signatures that didn't follow standard royal procedure. On their own, none of it was explosive. Together, it formed a problem the crown could not brush aside. Because for the monarchy, uncertainty is more dangerous than criticism. Bad press fades, doubt doesn't.
Meghan just went into labor when really Archie had been born for several hours at that point is a foolish game to play. And it only diminished credibility and trust, and it honestly made people kind of mad and irritated about the situation, because it's like, well, why would you do that? Why are you lying to people? Why are you trying to mislead people?
A disputed timeline creates questions. Questions weaken legitimacy, and legitimacy is the monarchy's backbone. As the file grew thicker by the day, one question became unavoidable. What does this mean for Meghan and Harry? And inside Montecito, the mood is reportedly nothing like the glossy social media posts, because Meghan and Harry understand exactly what a royal review signals, and it's far worse than angry headlines or public backlash. This isn't noise, this is the system checking itself, and once that machinery starts moving, it doesn't stop just because things get uncomfortable. For Meghan, the danger here isn't just personal, it's brand-level destruction. Her entire post-royal image is built on one idea: the modern Duchess, a mother of royal children, a woman who walked away from the palace but still carried its glow. That glow powered everything: the Netflix projects, the book deals, the headline interviews, the lifestyle branding, the image she keeps trying to project. But a royal mother without verifiable royal children? A duchess with no confirmed royal lineage running through her household? That flips the entire narrative upside down.
You know, Harry and Meghan they would refuse to kind of show him. They finally kind of showed him off in South Africa, and it was very much, you know, kind of a display, and she went to the polo match, and again, people wondered because it's like, she just didn't, it was a very stiff way she was holding him. It was just looked odd, and you looked at her and compared her to Kate, and you can't help the comparisons. And Kate is playing with baby Louis, and he's, you know, kissing her, trying on sunglasses, and Meghan does not even look at Louis at all, and Louis is looking at her.
For Harry, the impact cuts even deeper. This isn't about money or deals, this is identity. Harry was raised believing bloodline mattered, that his children would always be part of the monarchy's future. He believed that even if he stepped away, his kids would still belong to something bigger, something permanent. Now he's reportedly watching that belief fall apart. Sources say he tried reaching out to senior royals, frustrated, emotional, even pleading at times. But the palace response stayed cold and distant. Because once the crown enters legal territory, emotion stops counting. The review is already underway, and nothing Meghan or Harry say can slow it down. Which leads to the real question everyone's waiting on. What does the crown do next, now that Buckingham Palace has quietly built its internal case file? The final phase is the one Meghan and Harry fear most, the moment the monarchy decides how to act. And history is clear on one thing. The crown always chooses the option that protects the institution, not individuals. Right now, insiders say there are 3 possible outcomes, and every single one reshapes everything around Archie and Lilibet. Option 1, titles frozen. No dramatic removals, no announcements, just silence. The children remain listed, but with no updates, no ceremonial roles, no future recognition. A slow fade out of royal life. Option 2, quiet reclassification. Without noise or headlines, the palace could reclassify the children as private individuals. No press statements, no public explanations. Their names simply slide down or disappear from official royal listings, treated as descendants living outside the royal structure. Option 3, formal removal. The rarest, the coldest, and the one this internal review makes legally possible. If documentation can't verify protocol or lineage standards, the crown can remove titles and recognition altogether. No anger, no emotion, just procedure. And that's the real message behind this investigation. The crown always survives. People don't. Meghan and Harry built an empire on royal mystique, but the palace controls the records, and one signature can erase everything before this story even reaches its next chapter. If you want more people to see what's really unfolding, hit like. Subscribe so you don't miss a single twist. Drop a comment below. Do you think the palace should make everything public? See you on the next one, because this saga is far from over.